Hello, and welcome to the East Africa Business Podcast. This show is all about showcasing entrepreneurs who are building businesses in this exciting part of the world. From reading high-level articles about the region, it can be difficult to really understand what's going on, and so my hope is that these interviews somewhat bring it to life, as well as stoking your curiosity to go find out more. On that, do take a look in the archive for more episodes that we've done, but for now, let's enjoy the rest of this funky intro music and then get started with the show. In this second episode from Zambia, I speak with an entrepreneur who has found his niche and is fully focused on it. Paul Nyambe grew up farming goats in rural Zambia. He and his family were unable to earn money from the animals, which always struck Paul as frustrating. Years later, he built up a career in Lusaka, Zambia's capital, in food sales, specifically ice cream, which meant he had relationships with large supermarkets and restaurants. One noticeable thing missing from the menus and shelves was goat meat. In 2012, Paul quit his job and started Zamgoat. The vision is simple: to sell high-quality goat meat to the public. In our conversation, we talk through various parts of the business, such as the profit margin on a goat, the barriers to entry for getting goat meat in supermarket aisles, and the reasons why Paul is so positive that goat products are the next big thing for consumers around the world.
We're also looking at changing the consumption patterns of goat among consumers. For instance, we've introduced these revolutionary products, goat burgers, goat pizza, pies and peas, These are products that have never existed on the Zambian market. People are getting hooked.
We also chat about the potential for more value creation in goat products, such as making rugs from goat skins and various other products. If, on the off chance, you happen to know someone who'd be interested in advising Paul in this regard, please let me know via the contact form on the podcast website, www.theeastafricabusinesspodcast.com. Anyway, without any further ado, please get yourself comfortable for learning about all things goats. Cool. So we're here today with Paul from Zamgoat. Paul, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Sam.
Cool. So to get started, can you tell us a little bit about you and a bit about Zamgoat?
Okay. So, like Sam rightly put it, I'm Paul Nyambe, and I'm the founder and CEO of Zamgoat. I was born in the southern part of Zambia, currently live in Lusaka, and I started Zamgoat in 2012, and I've been actively running it since then.
Very cool. And we should note that you're recovering from a flu at the my
voice is not my natural voice, so my voice is a little bit husky. Husky for now. Yeah.
Very, very cool.
Sure.
And from the name, Zamgoat, you're in the business of goats in Zambia.
Exactly.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So we're in the business of goat processing and distribution. Essentially, what we do is we aggregate goats. We do not keep our own goats. So we buy goats largely from smallholder farmers. We then process and distribute goat, targeting the emerging urban consumer base in Zambia, initially starting out with the Lusaka urban market.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Great stuff. Okay, so I'm sure there are lots of things that we can talk about, both on the sort of supply and the demand side. I'm interested though, how did you spot this opportunity? How did the business what's the founding story of the business?
Okay, so it started from a combination of two realities of my life.
Mm-hmm.
One of which is my rural upbringing, growing up in a village set up as a child and keeping goats, my family keeping goats, with no economic impact whatsoever on our lives, but just for village prestige, like another village I would do at the time. Reason being, or why there was no economic bearing on our lives through our goat keeping activities, was because of lack of an access to a readily available market. So later on, growing up in the city and working in the city as a country salesperson for, a food company in Lusaka, my experience with that working experience exposed me to a gap in the market. I used to deal mostly with supermarkets, restaurants, and hotels, and supplying our food products at the time for the company that I used to work with. But then I observed there was no goat meat sold in those supermarkets, and goat was also a rare feature in most restaurants and hotels in Lusaka. Whereas on the other hand, again, I'm an ardent consumer of goat. I love goat meat. So that, opened up my eyes to the opportunity, and that's how Zamgoat started in July 2012.
Very cool. What was the other food you were selling?
So my last job before I started Zamgoat, I used to work for a company that used to deal in ice cream.
Okay.
So yeah, I'm a former ice cream salesperson. I used to sell ice creams.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Did you get paid to try out new ice cream? I imagine that when you were selling ice cream, you got given free samples and things.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. So yeah, we would give out free samples to try to our customers during our field sales.
Very cool. Okay, so you went from ice cream to goat.
I went from ice creams from goat because that was my last job. Yeah.
Yeah. Very cool. Okay. Right. So let's start on the demand side.
Yeah.
Okay. So you were saying that the supermarkets, restaurants, hotels weren't serving goats. Is that because the end consumer wasn't demanding it, or was it because they just didn't have a reliable way to get it on the menu?
At that time, there was a gap in the supply side. There was no company that was processing and making goat available in those places.
So people were still wanting it.
People still wanted goat, but at that time, I think the only source where people or consumers could get goat meat from was from the informal market setups, and these mostly are open market setups that have a lot of sanitary and hygiene issues with them.
Yeah.
So that, to a large extent, tended to limit the uptake of goat among consumers.
Got it. Sure. Is goat is it something which is eaten across Zambia, or is it just particular regions that sort of eat?
So goat meat is eaten right across Zambia, and now more consumers out there actually love to eat goat more than any other meat products, and this, I think, can be attributed to the health and nutritional benefits and values that are associated with goat meat as compared to other red meat products.
Such as what?
One of which, I think, the key health benefit for goat is it's lean. It's leanness. It's a lean meat, and that means it poses less challenges that are associated with cholesterol. Cholesterol levels in meat consumption.
Okay. Yeah. What are some traditional ways that goat is eaten?
Traditionally, the goat is mostly eaten in a stew form, but that stew normally people don't add. You don't add any other ingredients apart from salt. So just boil the goat and then add your salt, and then they take it as a goat soup, which sometimes they also eat with the local staple, which is shima.
Shima.
Yeah. The other common way that goat has been eaten traditionally in Zambia is through braais.
Like a barbecue.
Yeah, a barbecue.
Yeah.
Most people eat it in barbecues form, but that is mostly again common in social joints, drinking places, and stuff like that. Yeah.
Got it. Okay. And so we'll sort of get to a bit about how you've done it, but you've basically been able to go to supermarkets, hotels, restaurants, and say, I've now got a high quality supply of goat. Yeah. What's been your sales pitch when you've been going to have you found it an easy pitch, or have you found that they've said, oh well, I'm not sure if people are actually going to eat it?
Sure. Our pitch in trying to upscale the goat, the distribution of goat meat in Zambia, is our emphasis on wanting to transform the entire goat value chain through value addition and improved of distribution of goat meat, which in turn would then also create a sustainable market opportunity for smallholder farmers. So our pitch out there is unlocking the availability of goat in convenient places where consumers would easily find goat meat. At the same time, also creating a sustainable market for smallholder farmers. So most of our customers engage with us on those two fronts, wanting to make a goat available conveniently to the growing consumer base of goat meat, but also wanting to contribute to the greater good out there by creating a sustainable market opportunity for the smallholder farmers who are the main producers of goats in Zambia.
Great. Okay, so when you're going to, I don't know, the Radisson Hotel, for example, or one of your big supply or one of your big customers, you're partly saying by putting goat on the menu, you can tell your customers that they are supporting smallholder farmers.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Does that resonate?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. That's what we do, and most of our customers actually buy into that. Okay, so they buy into making goat available for their consumers, but also stocking it as a way of supporting smallholder farmers out there.
Yeah. When you go to your sales pitch, do you bring along some goat for people to try? Or do they everyone know
sure.
What goat is?
We do so, especially like when we introduce a new product range, because we have quite a number of goat products that we supply. So besides the fresh or ordinary goat meat as in its fresh or frozen state, we also do smoked goat meat. We do goat biltong. We do goat burgers as well.
Oh, burgers.
Yeah, sure. So like in times when we just introduce a new product line, we normally go out with samples, for our customers to try out.
Very good. Okay. Sure. So the company's been going for about like 7 years. About 7 years now?
Yeah, about 7 years now, sure.
What sort of scale are you at now?
We're quite at a good scale right now, starting out with just one goat in 2012 with under $200 in startup capital. We have at least to date, done over 5,000 goats. Okay, and generating revenues, slightly above $400,000 now.
Very cool.
So for us, I think that's a good traction. Yeah. But would have loved to do more than that. Would have loved to do more than that.
Yeah.
But we understand, the strata of our industry as a whole, the goat industry, historically it has been underdeveloped. But we are still satisfied, I think, with the strides that we've made so far. Though we feel, I think, we should have grown.
There's still more to go.
More than that.
Okay. Yeah. So let's sort of talk about the process that you have. So you've sort of stage one is going and collecting live goats.
Live goats from smallholder farmers, yes.
Yeah, and then maybe just can you walk me through the whole process from receiving a goat all the way through to it being sold as a goat burger?
Okay. So it all starts from first engaging with smallholder farmers, whom we mostly organize in supply groups, in cooperatives, and then from there on we're grown the terms of business with them. We offer them a good buying price, good in the sense that our price is actually better than the prices that most of the informal traders do, offer our farmers out there. And then from there on, after we buy those goods from the smallholder farmers, we take them to our processing facility in Lusaka, currently operating out of Olympia Market. From there, we do process goat, which we sell in through two main ways. Through the butchery setup, where we sell, goat meat in its fresh, frozen state, as well as other value-added products that include smoked goat, biltong, and goat burgers. And then we also have another sales channel, which is a takeaway. This is a recently added sales channel where we're doing ready-to-eat goat products. Okay.
So within your processing plant, you will be cooking the goat?
Yeah. So currently we're trying to optimize the space that we have at our store, which also serves as a processing facility at the back end of it.
Yeah.
So we have on the other side of the store, adjacent to the butchery section, we've recently opened up a takeaway offering, and a brand we're calling Zamgoat Express. So that offers grilled goat and chips. We do smoked goat and chips. We do goat burgers. We do goat sausage and chips. Yeah, and also we do an upscaled version of goat soup, which is different from the traditional goat soup that has been common on the Zambian market.
Very cool. Okay.
Sure.
What, in terms of the sort of the economics of it, how much roughly do you buy goat for? Yeah, roughly what price do you buy?
So roughly we buy our goats at about $30 from a smallholder farmers. $30 per goat.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what's the processed value of that goat?
On average, the minimum processed value of the goats that we sell is around $45.
$5. Okay,
Yeah.
so you're making about $15.
About $15 on.
Okay.
Yeah. So
And so, what's been the cost? What's been the total cost to sort of set up the processing plant? I'm just trying to work out how profitable it is to do.
So to date, I would say we haven't really had a formidable processing plant. So we've kind of, been bootstrapping our processes, whereby we are doing everything that we do using very limited means. So far, we've invested over $40,000 into our current processing facility. But we are actually currently working on setting up an ideal processing facility, which is estimated to cost around $400,000. So we are currently actually active in the market trying to raise capital to set up an ideal processing facility so that we could then supply more goat products out there, satisfy our market, as well as also increase our impact in working with smallholder farmers.
Yeah. Okay. So $400,000, and you're making about $15 per goat.
Sure.
So you're gonna have to do like 250,000 goats. Is that right? No, 25,000 goats.
About 25,000.
25,000 goats.
Yeah.
Is there demand for that? I'm trying to get 25. Like at the moment, your sort of production's you've done about 5,000 goats.
We've done about 5,000.
I mean, that's increasing the capacity of your operation by 5 times.
Yeah. So actually, our target increase in capacity is around 10 times more than what we're currently doing.
Okay.
Sure. So we've done about you're right. So it's close to about 10 times more in terms of
what you're actually doing.
Production output.
Okay. And I mean, I know nothing about the goat industry, but I'm just thinking if you're making $15 per goat, and it seems like there's a lot of you're adding a lot of value.
Exactly.
You're processing it, you're packaging it, you're distributing it. I'm just wondering if, do you need to get a certain scale before you make money off this? Or is it already profitable? How's it kind of work?
It is already profitable, except that the current state of profitability is limited by our current scale.
Okay.
So we can only do so much for now, given our limited capacities. We believe that once we grow our capacities, then even our profitability should also be able to increase.
So that means that out of that $15 per goat that you're making, your costs will reduce.
Exactly.
Okay.
The cost will reduce because we'll optimize our processes.
Okay.
Sure.
Do you think that you'd ever pay less for a goat? But let's say at the moment, if you're going to a smallholder farmer and you're buying 10 goats off them for $30 each, would you ever get to a place where you'll say, right, I'll buy 50 goats off you for $25?
Exactly. So with increased capacity, operating capacity on our side, there's that possibility of us lessening our cost.
But can the smallholder farmers sell 50 goats for $25?
They would sell.
They would. Okay.
They would sell. They would sell. Again, it all gets back, or it all borders on our capacity at a given time. So with capacity at any given time, it is easy for us to negotiate with our suppliers to say, look, we're buying so many at a go. So we'll then negotiate for a bulk discount.
Yeah.
Okay. And then also that would make sense for the farmer, because instead of just selling 10 goats, they would sell at least more and make more money at a go than make the same amount over, say, a month or two.
Exactly. Yeah, and they suddenly get a lot of cash, which they can then use to invest in.
In other activities and also in enhancing their livelihoods.
Yeah. How do you transport the goats? You say you aggregate them. How does that?
So for now, we outsource transport. We hire delivery trucks. We hire open trucks that move our live goats from the farmers to our.
Do you have to take a Zamgoat representative to like tick off this number of goats have gone on?
Yeah, so we normally have people on the ground.
Okay.
Sure.
How many people are employed?
Currently, our establishment is still small. We have an estimate of four staff for now.
4 staff. Okay.
Sure.
So there's you and 3 other people.
Yeah, there's me and 3 other people.
So each time that you go and buy goats, one of the 4 of you has gone.
Yeah, has to be there.
Yeah.
But then we also have times when farmers bring themselves.
Oh, they
so
come to Lusaka?
Yeah, they come through to Lusaka. So we've made ourselves so popular among the smallholder farmers, such that every farmer out there, mostly even in the outskirts, whoever wants to sell goat, they know that this is Zamgoat in Lusaka. So they give us a call, and then we make arrangements for the delivery. And sometimes, there are those that we've been dealing with for some time. We know that they'll bring us the right quality of goats. So we give them a go ahead. Okay, how many are you ready to supply this time around? They give us the number, and then we give them a go ahead. Okay, move them over to
bring it in. We'll give you.
Sure.
Nice. What's your quality assurance process when you see a goat? Do you like? How do you?
Yeah, so we
quality?
look at quite a number of things. One of which include the general wellness, well-being, the physical stature of a goat. Okay, it has to appear to be in its perfect state. Okay, to guarantee us quality meat. Then 2, it's the age. We look at the age.
How do you tell the age?
There are a number of ways to tell the age. It's the general appearance of the goat. You can tell this goat, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, this goat is too old. Then the other technique we use is looking at the teeth formation. Okay. Yeah.
Is it the teeth? Is that a good gauge for the size, the age of the goat?
Yeah, to some extent it is. To some extent, yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Sure. But I think the best technique is just the general physical state of the goat in its appearance has to appeal.
Yeah.
To you as a buyer.
It's got to be.
It has to be seen to be
attractive
well-rounded.
goat. Yeah.
Okay, not you're looking at a goat, you're able to seeing the ribs exposing, protruding from out, so that it will give you an indicator. No, this may not be.
Got it.
I think a goat that will give us good quality meat. So it has to be well-rounded.
Yeah, got
stature.
it. Yeah. What's the best age for a goat?
So we prefer goats that are not more than 3 years in age for meat production. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd say between 1.5 years and 3 years thereabout.
Okay.
Sure.
And then goats enter your processing plant, and at the other end, we've got goat meat. Like in between, what happens to? So obviously, like the goat is killed. What happens to like the other parts of the goats that aren't used for meat?
Yeah. So you'll be shocked to learn that to date, nothing much happens to, except for the offals. The offals, we sell the offals in our butchery section, then we use some also for the takeaway section. But then for the other parts of the goats, like the skin, to date, nothing much has been done, in terms of adding value to the goat skins.
Yeah.
So mostly goat skins in Zambia have just been thrown about. But, being pioneers in this industry as Zamgoat, we've taken it upon ourselves. We've seen an opportunity in that area as well to start adding value to goat skins.
What could be done?
So one of the things we're looking at is adding value to goat skins to serve the local market, coming up with finished products like belts, device pouches, wristbands and stuff like that.
Can you make rugs?
Yeah, you can also make rugs. You can make bags.
Okay.
You can make shoes, like there's the fine leather shoes. Most of them are actually made out of goat skins. The other opportunity is doing maybe just basic processing and then exporting semi-processed goat skins to the
other parts of the world.
Other parts of the world.
All right. So if there are any goat skin artisans listening to the podcast, they should get in touch with you.
You're right.
Because they'll be able to come and sort of help with making those things.
Exactly.
Okay, cool. How long does it take between goat enters and process and like the process meat at the end?
Okay. On average, it takes about 15 minutes. Let me say 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Okay.
And do you do it one at a time?
Yeah. So the slaughtering, given our current limited capacities, we do slaughtering one at a time.
Is it by hand?
By hand, yeah. Currently, slaughtering is done by hand, and then flaying also by hand.
Flailing?
Yeah, removing of the skin.
Okay.
Is manually done for now because of our limited capacities.
But this $400,000 investment.
So this $400,000 investment, we are looking at investing in some at least close to state of the art, kind of facility that would enable us to, to process our goat in a much more commercial like manner, like how we are currently doing it. Sure.
And would that be like a machine?
Yeah, so we're looking at getting, a slaughtering line where you have some conveyor belts that, that electronically move the goats from the slaughtering stage to the flaring stage, to up to the,
Where do you buy that machine from?
So I think for now it has to be imported from outside the country.
Is it made in China, in India?
Mainly in China. China would always be the cheapest. The cheapest. I've had some discussion with a number of suppliers of slaughterhouse equipment in China.
Yeah,
sure.
All right. Purely out of interest, do they eat goat in China?
They do.
They do.
Yeah.
Okay. So they've probably got it. They've got these machines that are being for domestic use as well.
Machines, yeah, sure.
Got it.
And they do slaughter goats now. So.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. So you're going to get one of these machines, and then you're going to be able to, once you've got that, your capacity. And then you can just go out and buy more goats.
Exactly.
What's like if you're saying that you buy at $30 and you sell at $45? Roughly how many days does it take for you to recoup the money?
Ideally, it doesn't take. So like through our butchery section, so we have a two revenue model, which is retail and wholesale. Yeah. So retail is cash sales.
You get the cash straight away.
So you slaughter the goat, and then within a day or two you have you recoup your money.
Yeah.
And then we also have another revenue model, which is wholesale supplies to these other intermediaries that include supermarkets, restaurants, and hotels. So that in most cases comes with credit, terms, and at most for now we accept at least 2 weeks.
Okay. So 14 days is your max.
Sure.
So it's not 30 days.
For now, it's not 30 days. Given our current, capacities, we can't do 30 days because then that will wipe out, the much needed cash that we need.
Definitely.
To manage our operations.
Okay, so let's say you've got and how does it work? Have you kind of got like a constant flow of buying buying goats, processing them, selling them, or is it kind of like up and down?
So it's up and down, and it mostly depends on two factors. One of which is the demand on our marketing side. Okay, the demand of products from our customers are there, those that we've signed up with. Then two, it is our capacity in terms of working capital to procure at any given time.
Yeah.
So it depends again. It fluctuates. Nothing.
Yeah. Sure. Okay. But there's demand. So what might cause a fluctuation in demand?
Fluctuation in demand is caused by a number of factors. One of which is the marketing of goat in the manner that we have been trying to do it is still relatively a new thing on the market. So a lot of customers and partners through which we sell our products with still getting acclimatized to our concept and distribution.
Right. So are they still sort of saying, okay, we'll buy 100 goat burgers and see how it goes, as opposed to we'll have 200 every month?
Sure.
So they're still in that sort of testing.
So there's still a bit of market development activities, going on.
Yeah.
On our end. Yeah.
How do you go around with leaflets? How do you sort of?
Yeah. So we do leaflets, and then we also do online marketing through platforms like social media using Facebook, Twitter. Mm-hmm. We a website, as well as just physical visits to targeted clients.
Okay, and so let's say, are you in ShopRite?
Not yet. So for some reason, we are yet to start dealing with most of these big retail chains, and a major limiting factor for now is our lack of the right or ideal operating scope in terms of processing, as well as distribution capacity in terms of
as in they'll only deal with you if you can do 1,000 goat burgers.
Yeah, so you need to have a certain level of capacity.
Yeah.
They don't want to engage with you and then tomorrow you're unable to supply.
Yeah.
Then again, most of these large retail chains are very particular in terms of their hygiene and sanitary requirements. So your products, your processes must meet certain, a certain criteria.
Yeah.
Like how you go about slaughtering, processing, and also delivering your goods to market. You need to meet a certain criteria, which to date, I think we're still working on, and that's the more reason why we're also trying to raise money so that we can scale up our operation and move, our business from this state of, proof of concept. I think we've overstayed at this stage, and now we need to grow our capacity and just, flood the market with our products.
Flood the market with goats, exactly. Yeah. I mean, you're right. I mean, it seems like you've been going for sort of 7 years now. You've kind of worked out these are the basic functions. You go off, buy goats, process them, sell them. Like, okay, well, we've
worked out those processes. So now I think the only missing link is just aligning our capacities with the process that we've developed so far, so that we can fully take advantage of the market opportunities.
Do you think there will be any resistance or any hesitation from, let's say, ShopRite, so one of the biggest supermarkets here? Will they perhaps say, okay, well, we're going to buy this goat from you, but we don't think people will buy it? Like, do you think you have to do some?
No, there's no that hesitation. Right now we have an active conversation with another large retail chain, Choppies. Okay, so they are ready to engage with us.
Okay.
But then they're just waiting on us to be ready in terms of capacity, setting up a formidable slaughtering facility, processing facility, and also having the right distribution
set up and cold. You have to be cold chain.
You need a cold truck, because you cannot deliver meat, in the back of a car. So you need the right distribution tools.
Okay.
You need a cold truck. You need cold storage. You need sufficient cold storage so that you keep your meat, in the perfect state at all times.
How similar is that process to beef and pork?
It is very much similar.
Okay.
The processes are very similar.
What's stopping an existing beef producer or pork producer just saying, okay, we're going to go out and buy some goats and just run it through?
I think until recently, what was stopping them is really lack of the age to try out new things, or getting used to what they've been used to over time. And then two, I think most of these other general meat processors, because of their size, scope, again, most of them have reached a level where they've gotten used
Okay.
to their routine products and processes. And because the goat industry really, is one area that has been overlooked. So there's never been
people haven't considered it. They haven't really been thinking about it.
No, they haven't been thinking about it.
But like, if I'm just saying, like, are you worried at all that one day one of these pork producers or cow producers or beef producers just thinks, maybe we should try goat, and they'll suddenly be able to do it at a really big scale? And does that worry you at all, or are there reasons why we should? No.
It doesn't worry me at all. Ourselves, we have an upper edge in the goat industry, given our dedication to the industry. So we've given ourselves our full focus to the goat value chain. That gives us an edge in terms of supply engagement. Then two, also in terms of the room to innovate within the industry. Okay, so we're not preoccupied with many product lines. So we are preoccupied with perfecting our core product, is the goat offering itself. So that gives us an edge, as it enables us to be more innovative in our product offering than the general meat processors. Except to say, perhaps the only worry, like right now, is as regard to a general meat processor wanting to add goat to their offering. The only aspect in which that worries me is maybe given their scale, they may get to market much more faster than us. So the only worry is maybe our lack of timely access to scale, our lack of timely access to resources to scale up the business. Yeah. I think that's the major worry. Once we have the right operating scope, I do not see anyone outdoing us.
You should be able to.
Then the other thing again that gives us an edge is our brand. Okay, Zamgoat is
there's no escaping what you do, is there?
Exactly. So Zamgoat, I think, is already growing into a very popular brand out there. It's growing into a household brand. Everyone does want to eat goat. They would think of Zamgoat.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's another. I think.
This might sound like a strange question, but is there any issue with you using Zam in your name? So, like, isn't it that there's a telco company called Zamatel?
Yeah, there are a number of companies actually that have.
Does the government have any sort of rights to organisations that have Zam in the name?
No.
Do you know what I mean?
No.
It's not like, because I don't, when I see Zamgoat, I might think, oh, that's like the National Institute for Goats or something. Yeah. So it's like it's a great image that you've got. But I was just wondering if there are any issues you have with naming.
Yeah, no issues at all. We don't have any issues. Even there's a number of businesses out there that have got a Zam prefix to their names. Uh-huh. Yeah. So for us, we chose the Zam prefix to our name to make it Zamgoat. Because we wanted to be really the leader of the goat industry in Zambia. Okay. And not only in Zambia, we wanted to be the company here in Zambia to be identified within the region around the world, as the company that is the pioneer of, activity in the goat industry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess if you wanted to go across the border, you could have no Zamgoats.
Yeah, so if you want to go across the border, so again depends on the particular markets. There are markets that will be comfortable to go trade as Zamgoat, but for some markets, we're also looking at coming up with other brands that are targeting particular international markets to make us more relevant and appealing to those local markets.
Yeah,
sure.
What are some names you thought of?
So currently there is another food service outfit that we are working on, which we are calling Pizza Goat Africa, and this is Pizza Goat.
Pizza
Goat. Pizza Goat. Pizza.
How do you spell?
Pizza, as in pizza. Pizza.
Pizza.
Yeah, your favorite pizza.
P-I-Z-Z-A.
P-I-Z-Z-A. Goat, as one word.
Okay.
So this is a brand that we want to use for our international market penetration on the food service side.
Pizza Goats.
Yeah,
Nice.
Pizza Goat. So we are calling it Pizza Goat Africa. Okay, this is what we want to use in penetrating or in having a physical presence in the African.
Yeah. Why did you go with Pizza Goat?
So Pizza Goat, again, it gets back to our desire to value add and disrupt the distribution of goat meat or goat products. So Pizza Goat is a brand that is focused on providing exclusive goat pizza and pastries. Okay?
Goat pastries?
Yeah. Pastries, we're looking at goat pies. You can have a goat samosa, goat spring roll.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but the key product, within that offering is the goat pizza itself. Yeah. So we are currently doing a test run on the same. We are yet to, fully launch it out there. But so far we are getting a lot of positive responses from our, customers. We get a lot of, positive inquiries, people looking forward to, to have it, goat pizza.
Yeah. Nice. How many goats are there in Zambia?
Currently, the population of goats is slightly under 5 million.
How do you know that?
They are livestock censuses that are normally conducted by the Ministry of Livestock and Fisheries. And their last update, I think, indicated, somewhere around 4.8, 4.9 million goats.
How many people are there in Zambia?
Currently, we're around 17 to 18 million. The last census, I think, was around 16 million.
Okay, so it's pretty fair. There's probably like one goat for every 3 humans, 3 or 4 humans.
Yeah.
I'm just purely out of curiosity. I'm interested if there are what the goat to human ratio is. What like goats per capita is in other countries. Do you know of any? Are there any other countries where there's a higher goat per capita, or is Zambia a particularly goat heavy country?
I'm not really sure, but I think my recent discoveries, I think I've indicated that countries like Ethiopia, Somalia, and some other Eastern African countries, Tanzania and Kenya, do have quite a higher number of goats as well.
Is that because the
I think because of the religious factor in those.
Anything to do with like nomadic tribes looking after goats, and so there's more of a culture of goats that way?
Yeah, that's another attribute. But the other attribute is on the consumption patterns. Most of the mentioned countries, Somalia, Kenya,
Muslim.
Tanzania, they're Muslim countries, so they tend to prefer eating more goat than the other meat products.
Is Zambia more or less purely Christian? Or is there a Muslim population here?
There is a Muslim population, but obviously the Zambia is predominantly, Christian in terms of population. But we do have quite, a big number of Muslims as well here.
Yeah. Is Zamgoat halal?
We are positioning ourselves to halal, but again, currently, given our limited operating capacities, we have not yet reached that level where it would be officially, certified halal. But we are working on certifying, having Zamgoat certified as halal.
So at the moment, a Muslim customer wouldn't be able to buy?
At the moment, yes. Yeah. That's another market that we are currently missing out. So part of our plan actually in setting up the planned slaughterhouse and processing facility is to be able to enable us, qualify to meet that halal standard certification. Sure.
Okay. Would you ever deal with like goat milk, or is that like different? So
again, it gets back to the strata of the industry as a whole. Totally underdeveloped, no much activity in any specific area of it, meat, milk, skin. So even with milk products, nothing much has been done with goat milk in the country. But again, as a business, that's something that becomes opportunity to us. So as we keep growing, we are actually seeing ourselves to grow into a fully vertically integrated business across the goat value chain, doing something with everything about goats, including milk products. So we are looking at getting into the nutritional market, you know, segment with time, riding on goat milk as a highly nutritional product, as you know, which some people out there say goat milk is as good as human milk.
Really?
So with that,
Do some people give goat milk to babies, or is that?
yeah, I think some do, but it's not yet a popular trend. Okay. But there's a lot of positive vibes out there. This is another industry for the future within the the goat value chain. So we are looking at with time we should be able to venture out in coming up with goat-based nutritional products.
Yeah. Like internationally, are there other countries where there is or other companies that have said we're going to vertically integrate in just goats?
Yeah, there's been a few countries where at least there's recently beginning to be some activity.
So there are sort of Zamgoat equivalents in.
Yes.
Whereabouts in the world is it?
In Somalia, there are countries that are just. Yeah, I mean, there are companies that are just.
And then they're just
focused
on
goat processing and distribution.
Are they a similar stage as Zamgoat?
There could be some. I think I must have forgotten the name, but it's one company that is doing pretty well in Somalia. Yeah. So they're quite an advanced stage in terms of their development.
Yeah.
As compared to Zamgoat.
Yeah. I'm just curious because it's always useful, I find, when there's a country in another part of the world where they're never going to come and enter the Zambian market, but you can still learn some good lessons from them. Sure. I was just wondering if there are in, I don't know, Vietnam, for example, pick a country, if there were any companies where you can say, okay, well, in 5 years' time, we want to be like, Indonesia goats.
I think there's one common phenomenon across the world. The goat industry, I don't know. For some reason, somehow it is an industry that has been overlooked. Okay. And for me, I think this is what becomes the biggest opportunity because it's a pretty, underdeveloped industry.
Yeah.
And that, to me as an entrepreneur, rings a lot more of opportunity than most of these industries that are fully saturated. That the traditional, meat industries, beef, pork, and chicken. And then 2, goat, meat, and the other associated products are becoming the talk of the day, around the world. Goat meat is seen to be more healthier than these other meat products. Goat milk, is also seen to be a very healthy, product, with some data out there equivalenting it to human milk, to be as good as, breast milk, Goat skins, that's fine leather. It's one of the most treasured, leather out there. But somehow, again, to some extent, there's still some,
why do you think why do you think it's been overlooked?
Slowness, in activity, to fully capitalize on these products.
Why do you think that is?
I think it's lack of innovation.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is a time now where innovative entrepreneurs, prying their trade in the innovative age like now to come up with innovations that add value to these products that have got a yearning market out there.
Are there any countries where the goat is not indigenous, or there's not many goats? What I'm thinking is, like, in, let's say, probably one of the biggest meat producers in the world is the US, and they've got loads of pigs and loads of cows. So they probably developed all of their machines and factories just around that, because there have been lots of beef and cows and pigs around. And so they've really sort of like grown the beef and pork industry. I'm just wondering if by historical accident there were goats in America, and they 50 years ago, 80 years ago, started factory producing goats, whether that would have, is it that the fact that goats aren't in places where there's currently big areas of meat production, is that why it's not seen as a popular product?
To some extent, yes. In fact, you've just reminded me one of the countries in the world that seems to have made headways in processing of goat products is Australia.
Oh.
Okay, there are companies in Australia that have made serious strides in adding value to goat meat and distributing it around the world. I was surprised during my stint in the US. I found Australian goat in some supermarkets in the US.
I can imagine.
Yeah.
Any country you go to, you go straight to the meat section and you check out where all the goats come from. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. So they've made strides, and then there are I think goats are there in most parts of the world, but I don't know. I think just lack of there's some stereotype perhaps that has been associated, with goats somehow.
I guess as well, if you're saying that most people choose what food to consume by, let's say, going to the supermarkets, and if the supermarkets have a barrier where they say you've got to hit a certain capacity before you can even enter, then lots of people might not realise that they're missing out on goat.
You're right.
Because they go to the meat counter and there's beef, chicken and pork. Suddenly, if goat producers like Zamgoat are able to hit a certain capacity, then they can be looking at beef, pork, chicken, goat. Oh, actually, I'll try goat. And that introduces it to them and that generates the demand. I can see that. I can sort of see that logically being something
right.
might happen.
Yeah, sure. So I think there's just a general stereotype that is somehow, underplaying or downplaying the efforts or the opportunities that exist within the goat industry. Like in our experience, okay, one of the challenges that we've been facing, for instance, even in trying to access, growth financing opportunities out there, is this seemingly still unattractive state of the industry as a whole, not for us as a business, but the industry as a whole, to attract financing from traditional financing sources that want to finance businesses operating in industries or in proven industries, in other words, industries that have got a proven track record, industries that have got a proven record for commercial viability, whereas the goat industry has never been fully exploited. So the financial markets out there are still a little bit skeptical, so especially the traditional sort of funding or financing.
So where do you get your financing from?
So given that reality, we've mostly been looking at non-traditional financing sources. We've been looking at, like here in Zambia, the commercial, the most common source of financing for any startup business would be, to go to the bank and ask for a bank loan. But then the banks look at industry dynamics. They got industry. They have no experience with it.
Yeah.
So they don't have that, or technically, cuts you off their, their books. So we've been looking at non-traditional financing sources like, venture capital, equity financing. We've also been looking at impact financing. And especially, like in our case, especially given the social impact aspect of our business, we've been trying to take advantage of, development financing opportunities that exist out there.
Yeah, because as you say, you are improving livelihoods for smallholder farmers, and that must be a really big impact push that people want to have.
So that's what we've been trying to do. We've been trying to ride on our impact aspect as a business in accessing impact financing opportunities, which we hope we should be able to use as catalytic financing that help us grow the business to reach a certain level where at least now the business and the industry as a whole should be able to prove a point and become more attractive to the traditional financiers.
Got it.
But so it needs a great deal of catalytic financing from non-traditional.
Get it in motion. Yeah.
Sure.
Okay, so we'll just do a few more questions. That's all right. I'm interested. What have been some of the surprises in running the business? So if you were to say, compare how Zamgoat is today with what you thought it would look like today, how is it different? Maybe in a positive way and a negative way.
It's it's not as easy as I thought it was going to be. Yeah, that's one thing, obviously. So running the business hasn't been as easy as I thought it was going to be. It has been a lot tougher, stressful, and sometimes, tempting. You just want to quit. But then again, you look at, the time invested and the beginning opportunity ahead. Okay. The fact that there is no track record for commercial viability of the goat industry does not make it, a bad industry as a whole. Okay. I think there are a lot of positive indicators that this is the next big thing in the meat industry. This is the next big meat industry in the world, the goat meat industry.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So, just getting back to your question, my experience has been that I think it's a lot more harder. I didn't think it was going to take us this long, to grow the business. By now, I was projecting that we are now doing 7 years. By now, my initial projections were that by now we should be able to at least saturate the local market and looking at the export markets. But it's been difficult because it's been hard to raise, growth financing. Yeah.
Got it. Okay.
Sure.
And if you sort of fast forward, project maybe 3 years' time, what do you think Zamgoat will look like?
So in 3 years' time, especially if we manage to raise the initial $400,000 that we're looking at, one, Zamgoat should be able to fully become a household name on the Zambian market in terms of goat consumption. We're also looking at changing the consumption patterns of goat among consumers. Okay, for instance, we've introduced these revolutionary products, goat burgers. Okay, these are products that have never existed on the Zambian market, but now they're on the Zambian market. People are getting hooked to our concept, goat pizza, pies and peas, So in 3 years from now, we should be able to really spread our footprint in terms of our distribution outlets across the Zambian market. By the 4th year, thereabout, we should be looking at exploiting the export market. We have a yawning regional, export market. The Congo DR, Angola is just one of them. Okay. Historically, Zambia has, been supplying goods to these markets, but this has been done through informal trade, not through formal trade.
Yeah.
So there's no really, greater benefit that can be tracked down out there. And then, and also in 3 to 4 years, we're looking at increasing our capacity in, engaging with smallholder farmers in improving their economic well-being, giving them an alternative in terms of their livelihoods, especially in the wake of climate change, where their traditional agricultural practices are failing. Rainfall has become more unpredictable. So we want smallholder farmers to continue earning a living, even at least through raising of goats, which are much more adaptable to the harsh, climate conditions that we're currently experiencing.
That's good. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. And people who are listening, how can they learn more about that Zamgoat?
So people can visit our website, zamgoatgroup.com. We're calling zamgoatgroup.com because we envisage ourselves to grow into a group of companies, with time. So zamgoatgroup.com, people can visit that website and, get more information. Alternatively, they can find us on Facebook. We have Zamgoat Products Limited on Facebook. They can, or simply key in Zamgoat online. There's a whole lot of information, and they'll get links to sites that they can learn, more about Zamgoat.
Fantastic. And I'll put some links to these in the show notes.
Sure, that would be great.
Cool. Well, Paul, thanks so much.
Thank you so much, Sam.
Cheers.
It's been a pleasure talking to you.
You too.
Wonderful.
Before we head, just a quick moment to say thank you for listening. You can see show notes for this episode by heading to the new website, www.theeastafricabusinesspodcast.com. If you'd like to learn more about the show and the work we do, then you can have a bit of an explore on the website and also subscribe to the various places such as Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and email. Finally, if you felt this was a good episode and you've been enjoying the show recently, then please do consider leaving a rating for the show on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or wherever you listen. You could also tell a friend who's curious about these sorts of businesses that we feature. And indeed, if you know of a business that you'd like to be interviewed on the show, please feel free to reach out via any of the channels mentioned above, and we'll see what we can do to have an interview and showcase them on the show. In any case, have a great week and speak to you soon.